How can we embody certain masculine archetype energies in our life? If there is a challenge in our lives, we can learn to tap into these masculine archetypal energies, and they are here to help us to move us through different stages of our life, and we can tap into them. So this video is about that, how to do that. So the first thing is focusing. It's not that hard to actually tap into archetypal energy and to start channel it and embody it. And to my awareness, some of the fastest ways how we can do that is, for example, we can take a book that I have right here. Or any other book about archetypes. We can read a book about archetypes, or we can start focusing on historical persona or even fictional character that has certain archetypal traits and qualities. And the moment we start to paying our attention, meaning focusing on specific archetype that embodies certain qualities and traits, we start immediately to connect with that energy field. And our energy field also connects to that immediately, instantly. And when we start to focus our thinking in a certain direction, then it is also changing our frequency. We start to vibrate at a frequency that matches what we are focusing on. In this case, certain archetype that embodies qualities and traits that we are looking for. If we know that our focus has immense potential, then it would be a good idea to stop focusing on junk that lots of people, including myself sometimes, consume, whether it's digital content or entertainment online. So yeah, and that is a form of, a lot of times, that's a form of distraction that distracts us from things that we should be paying attention to in the present moment, which is right now, and probably doing something else. Here's an example of connecting with archetypal energy. Every time I pick the book that I just showed you, which title is King Warrior Magician Lover by Robert Moore, every time I start reading, for example, chapter about warrior, I immediately start to feel warrior-like. And when I read out loud some of the warrior's key qualities, I can feel energetic resonance, energy rushing throughout my body. I feel more energized, I feel more fresh, I feel more in purpose. Yeah, I feel like a warrior that wants to go and take action. I remember there was also a time when I was doing something and I was also feeling a little inner urge to stop doing that and to even pick up a chapter about warrior archetype in the book that I just showed you. And when I did that, and I read a little bit about warrior, I immediately felt that yes, it was the right thing to do, and I should stop doing bullshit and do things that really mean and matter. And at that moment, when I tuned into the warrior mindset, warrior mentality, warrior energy by reading some bits in a chapter about warrior, the inner urge immediately stopped. It's like my inner warrior tried to contact me to cut the crap, stop bullshitting, and focus what is important right now in the moment. That is warrior's energy, taking action and doing what's necessary. Do you think that was coincidence? Hell no. The first point that I made was about focusing. Now I want to address the second point, which is interaction. And interaction, of course, is closely related to focusing. And here's another example how we connecting and interacting with specific energy field impacts us directly. Every time when I returned back to work of Eckhart Tolle, spiritual teacher, I immediately started to feel more present, more and more intense presence, and my mind slowed down. Why? Because that's the exact embodiment of Eckhart Tolle. That's his energy field, that's his life's work, his teachings about being in a present moment. And when I either read something of his work or watch or listen to him, I immediately start to tap into this energy field, because my energy field also connects with his energy field. Both fields connect. Another example is, for example, if I decide to pay attention and do some exercises of Donna Eden, who is also other great teacher out there, and she's basically an embodiment of joy. And every time I do some of her exercises, I also often feel quite rapid shift, and I start to feel more at peace, more happy. Why? Because again, I connected to her work, to her energy field. And the thing is, it's not just about focusing on other people, their life's work, their service, what they are offering. We can also tune into, if we want, for example, to certain animals' energy, because different animals have different strengths and traits. And if we want that to have in our life, then we can also focus on that animal, which can be a very powerful source of inspiration for us in that moment. Another example is, if we don't take animals, we can also choose to channel, for example, a certain elemental energies. There are water element, wood, fire, metal, earth. According to ancient Chinese, 5 elements. According to other systems, there are more. So we become aware in the moment what we need, and then we tap into the energies that can give us this certain quality that we are looking for. That's simple. Our consciousness has that power. We just have to choose and consciously focus on it. And that's it. So far we have talked about focus and interaction. Let's talk about the third point, imagination. If we imagine or in other words, invoke certain images in our mind, this is also a powerful way how we can connect with certain archetype within us, or archetypal energies. We can meditate by closing our eyes and trying to see this archetype that we try to have connection with in our inner visual field, by imagination, how it could look like for us, to us. If for some reason there is difficulty to imagining and seeing it with our inner eyes, maybe that we can have a contact with this inner archetype through different senses, maybe through words, you can hear him, or maybe through other sensations, some feelings. But if you feel like there is still a great difficulties and disturbances in using your imagination in order to contact a certain archetype, then there might be a blockage or resistance to connecting with certain archetypal energy. And in that case, we need to address certain part of us, our part of our split consciousness that is in resistance to meeting this archetype. And one of the ways how we can do this is through shadow work. We address this part and then we integrate it, so there is no more resistance to us accessing our archetypal powers. Basically, our thoughts, our beliefs and actions are the ones that can stop us from experiencing a certain masculine, healthy archetype in its fullness, and allow it to express through us. So we have to deal with these thoughts, these beliefs, and these actions of ours. The fourth point is also closely related to imagination, and that is acting as if. Imagine if there was a great king in your place, in your life situation, your circumstances. How would he act? What would he do? What would he say? What would he choose to do? Or if you were a great king, how would you approach life differently than now? Maybe some parts you wouldn't change, some you would. How would you talk? How would you treat yourself and others? How would you think? What would you do? Another way, when we talk about imagination, we can put together focus plus imagination. So focused imagination, that can help us to initiate more contact with our inner archetypes. For example, if you want to come into contact more with your masculine archetype of king, then one of the ways how you can do that is also you can choose to draw this king on a paper and put it on your room, on the wall every time. When you come, there's the king. Or you can even decide to write a letter to a specific archetype. In this case, king. Maybe you feel like you have neglected the king before and you want to really have a heartwarm conversation with him and you want to write to him a letter. You can do that. You can also, through meditation, imagine sending a messenger to the king if you feel like you cannot directly engage with a certain archetype, that there is a certain resistance. So all kinds of possibilities are yours to initiate the contact. Of course, if we want to connect to certain archetypal energies and we're not sure what kind of traits and qualities would be in line with this archetype, then we can, of course, study that. And one source is the book that I just showed, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. There are definitely more sources, also through mythology, through legends. So there are many, many sources. Point number 5 of connecting with archetypal energies is studying role models. So we can study external examples. Maybe there are a couple people, your contemporaries now in the world, that are alive, that you admire, that from your perspective have succeed great amounts of success in their lives, that they are on their mission, they are empowering, and you want to have similar qualities. So then you can study them. Or maybe there were people in past that were of great quality, and then you can also study them. And you can study these people that had some archetypal qualities. So you can start making a list of people that are good and successful role models for you in different areas of life, and they can become a reference point to you. But we have to be also careful, because we don't want to become too dependent on external sources or these role models that possess certain energies, certain qualities and traits that we feel that we are not embodying enough yet. Because if we become too overly dependent on them, then we start to suppress our own inner resource, and our own inner archetypes cannot express themselves through us in their pure form. We can become almost like a replica of someone else. So we have to be careful with that. It's okay to have an inspiration from someone, but we always want to return back to ourselves. So external role model as to initiate this contact with certain archetypal energies is okay, but again, we want to make sure that we tap into our own. At first, if we learn from someone, some role model that we respect highly, yes, we might start like modeling them in our actions, but again, we want to find in the process our own authentic way. Otherwise, we will become copies of them. And the world is already full of many replicas and copies. And if we want to differentiate ourselves from many copies, we have to be ourselves, ultimately. How can we practically use archetypal energies in our life? First, we can, when we become familiar with certain archetypes, their character traits and qualities, the positive ones and negative ones, we can then start asking ourselves in what situations, in what contexts, environments, habits, conditions, in what kind of thinking, speaking, in what actions of ours manifests our king, our warrior, our magician, our lover, or other archetype in healthy or unhealthy form. Unhealthy form would be lack of matured archetype. Instead, it's negative and immature shadow side of the archetype that needs to be integrated within us. Or another way, we can just ask ourselves in what life situations, for example, we feel lack of kings present, or in what life aspects we feel that there is a lacking of king or warrior or magician or lover in their healthy expression. This is very important exercise, because through awareness, increased awareness, we can start to change and reorganize our life for the better. For example, maybe there are some areas of our life that needs more order, and they haven't been set in a proper and enough order. So it means we lack our healthy king in that case. Or maybe there are situations or things that we often prefer to avoid, which means we lack our inner warrior, who is always ready to tackle challenges, take action, face his fears in the present moment, and do what is necessary now. If we don't allow these archetypes to express through ourselves in a healthy manner, and we suppress them, then we become sick physically, mentally, and also emotionally. Working with archetypes can be very comprehensive, ongoing, huge practice itself for the next year, if we choose to engage in it. One of the ways is we can also journal about this and how our archetypes are showing up or not showing up in our life. Archetypes touches all aspects of our life, so investing in this work is very beneficial to us in general on multiple levels. The more we become more familiar with us, we get to know better us, the healthier and more integrated we become, and more aligned and healthier choices we make that are in alignment with who we truly are. The more we become familiar with this archetypal work and we connect more and more with our own inner archetypes, the easier it gets for us to engage and initiate inner dialogues within us with specific archetype. And then we can ask our king, okay, king, what would you do in this situation, or what you want to do in this situation, or how would you tackle this situation right now? Through this inner dialogue, we are able to access part of our consciousness, which is a certain archetype of ours. If you liked content of this video, like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel for more. In the next videos, I will be briefly touching 4 of the main masculine archetypes, their positive, their negative sides. And I will be using information from the book King, Warrior, Magician, Lover by Robert Moore. So stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.